Assalamu alaikum guys. Here with another video again. Today inshallah it's not going to be a true video. It's going to be me sitting down with a brother that's memorized the Quran and Hafiz. Just ask him a few questions to see his journey and to learn about him a little bit. And inshallah we can learn a few things to help better ourselves as well.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Son, how are you?
Good, how are you? Alhamdulillah. You tell us your name?
My name is Saad, Saad Ahmad. Studying here at U of I doing CS.
Okay.
Sophomore now.
Okay. Thank you very much for spending time here to answer these few questions. So, the first question I wanted to ask was, what was the reason or what was the motivation for you wanting to memorize the Quran?
So, this is gonna be a bit of a story, but originally I didn't have much of a motivation. Motivation was just honestly, my dad just asked me one day. He's like, "You want to memorize the Quran?" I said, "Sure." That was back in 5th grade.
5th grade?
So then I started doing like daily classes, like back then it used to be 4 hours a day after school. This is like elementary, so it wasn't as time consuming. Then into middle school, I was doing hifz after school, 2-3 hours a day, and then going at home, revising a bit. But I didn't get much done doing it part-time. Okay. Going into 7th grade, I transitioned into doing it full-time. Now, that's where I got really motivated. So, what our teachers used to do is every morning, we used to have like a khatira, just like giving us ahadith about the benefits of the Quran to the Hufaz and then to his parents, to the people around him, how it's like such a node of blessings. So, like the blessings come down and go around with the blessing of the Quran.
Okay. What made you go from part-time, from 5th grade to you said 7th grade? What made you switch to full-time?
So the thing with doing it part-time, especially after elementary school, is if you're trying to finish it just on a part-time basis, it's not possible. Starting off, it's good to do part-time, but you're gonna need to be revising on a 10-day cycle. So for example, after I finish memorizing 15 juz, I should be revising all 15 of the juz in 10 days minimum. Even like a month is fine. But if you're doing it part-time with a teacher, there's like, at least our masjid, there's like 14, 16 other kids. 2 hours with salah coming in the middle, students coming late, teacher not having enough time or attention to go around. So, like for example, my teacher used to, Allah bless him, but he used to test me maybe like one juz, and even in that, 5 random pages. So out of 20 pages, 5 random pages, and that was just 4 times a week. So with that, I just couldn't revise on the scale I needed to. So as I was memorizing, I was forgetting. I was forgetting way more than I was memorizing, and with that, I really couldn't finish.
Okay, and then, well, how old were you, what grade were you when you finally finished memorizing the Quran?
I finished in 8th grade, alhamdulillah. So I finished Ramadan of that year, that was 2020, or 2019 I think maybe. And then over the summer I was doing revision. Our masjid has like a sort of testing where like you recite the Quran, and they don't let you graduate, like have the ceremony and stuff, until you recite the entire Quran in 6 days. So 5 juz a day. So I finished that August station, and after that I was just doing normal high school. But yeah.
So it took you, so from 5th grade to 8th grade, so about 4 years time, but then you were part-time till 7th grade, and after 7th grade, so in 2 years time, you memorized it full-time.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's been the best part since you memorized the Quran? Like, what's been the most beneficial thing?
So I'd say maybe there's 2 ways to look at this. There's A, materialistic gain, and then B, spiritual gain. So I'll start off with the materialistic one. So if we're talking about just in terms of studying, memorizing the Quran helps you A, learn to manage your time well, B, learn how to memorize, and well, I mentioned managing your time, but see, you could say discipline. So without self-discipline, you cannot finish.
And what about the spiritual basis? Like, what's
Yes.
been most beneficial?
Spiritual basis. So on that, I would say maybe two ways to look at it again. The first would be that it helps you connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala weekly, if not monthly. And especially like every Ramadan, it's such a blessing to sort of like be able to go through the entire Taraweeh while following what the Imam is doing, or even just in your normal salawat, like knowing what is being read and what is not being read is such a huge difference between the two. So it helps you connect more during salah, and you sort of move from appreciating the sound to appreciating what the Imam is reciting. And then there's another level which is more for like speakers of Arabic, or like if you're learning Arabic, but learning or like sort of understanding what the Quran is saying. And that is a lifelong process, no matter if like you're starting off memorization, you're starting, or like you're sort of getting into Islam, or if you're a lifelong learner. The scholars, they've spent their lives writing tafasir, explanations of the Quran. We're all learners. So that's the final stage of that. Then on the other side, I would say just personally, you get a lot of benefits. As I mentioned prior, the Quran has barakat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that He will protect the Quran. And what in essence what that means is the Quran is in your heart. Your body has the nur of the Quran, inshallah. So a lot of barakat come in your life, blessings you would never have imagined, and years later you just think about it. And this happens to all of us in many aspects, but at least quite a few of these blessings in my own life I could have attributed to memorizing the Quran.
Good. So, what's the favorite chapter you learned? Like, what was your favorite chapter learning?
So I would have to say my favorite is Maida. So this would be, I believe, chapter 5 or 6. But the way I memorize it is I was memorizing with the translation. And just subhanAllah, that was one of the first surahs I memorized with the translation. So I think that's why it stuck with me. A lot of this surah is, as I remember, giving advice to the believers and talking about the affairs of the previous nation. So I think maybe that's a little why I found it more interesting personally.
What about favorite verse wise? Is it in chapter Maida as well, or is it a different chapter?
Favorite verse wise, so actually no, I would not say that's Maida. That would be in Ankabut, end of the 20th juz. So actually I did my khatma on that. I can recite the ayat. There's like 3-4 of them. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. مثل الذين اتخذوا من دون الله أولياء كمثل العنكبوت اتخذت بيتا وإن أوهن البيوت لبيت العنكبوت لو كانوا يعلمون إن الله يعلم ما يدعون من دونه من شيء وهو العزيز الحكيم وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس وما يعقلها إلا العالمون خلق الله السماوات والأرض بالحق إن في ذلك لآية للمؤمنين. So yeah, these couple ayat, I did my khatma on them. So this is my last sabak I recited to my sheikh. And actually the story behind that was also interesting. So I finished the rest of the juz the month prior. So I believe that year Ramadan was starting in May. I finished it April 27th or 28th, something like that. And I didn't actually recite my last sabak until the 20th of Ramadan. 29th, yes. So The way we did it is we did a Tarawih, so we did one khatma of that, and then after that, I had the blessing to be able to do a second khatma on the same night with all the shayukh and everyone present after we finished the Tarawih khatma. So that's sort of why it stuck with me. Yeah, it was a memorable moment for me.
Thank you very much for your recitation.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Brother Saad, for answering those questions. I hope those of you guys that are still watching, I hope y'all watched the whole video. I hope you learned something. I hope you can implement it in our lives, because once again, this is how we keep the Quran preserved. The Quran was revealed, as we all know, over 1,400 years ago. Two people like Brother Saad here memorizing the Quran and keeping it is how we keep the book preserved. Otherwise, it'll be forgotten by now. So inshallah, let's all make the intention to do our best to memorize the Quran as much as we can and implement it in our daily lives. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.